This only went 5 games? Hey everybody, it's Neil here from Post to Post. Thanks for joining me. Another series wrapped up. Colorado just swept St. Louis, and here we have the Boston Bruins taking down the Washington Capitals in 5 games, winning 4 in a row to close this out. I am genuinely shocked. A couple of the series, you could definitely argue that, that could be a sweep. That might happen in 5 games, 6 at the most. And then you have series that you can think, that's going 7. That is one series that is definitely going 7. For me, this was one of them. Whenever Washington plays whenever Washington plays Boston, the games are always so close. And it's such good hockey. I just felt like, how could this series not go 7 games? This series has to go 7 games. But here we are, 5 games in, and it's over. Boston played very well this whole series. That first game went to OT. They could have easily won that. I thought Rask was phenomenal. Their depth was... Their offensive depth was a little lackluster in the first half of the season, and I thought that there's a lot of really good attempts and contributions later in the season. Jeez, it's late, guys. Later in the series, and I just sensed a lot of frustration from Washington. I'm not even sure if it mattered who Washington played. I feel like there's conflict within the lineup. Whether it's Ovi yelling at people, whether it's the guys arguing on the bench, that's, Ovi's not even included in that. I saw one of the clips where 2 guys were arguing. I don't even remember who it was. And just, I think there's conflict between the group. I don't know if it's a personality thing. I don't know if it's just general frustration. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm just a loser who makes videos on YouTube. I'm not there. I don't know. I can only speculate. But something felt off with the Washington Capitals on the ice, off the ice, just watching them interact. It just felt off. There was a lack of communication a lot of times, and there was an abundance of aggressive communication. And I just don't like that. Like that felt wrong for the Washington Capitals, because they were a team that they're so, such a tight-knit group, and that core has really been together a long time. So it felt awkward to see that in a way. It almost felt like a family, you're watching a family break apart or, argue as a big whole. And it felt almost uncomfortable in a way. But that leads me to the question of, well, what happens in Washington? Like, this wasn't a close series where you can end the season, you come back as a group and you discuss, okay, guys, we came really close to winning this series. Let's make a few tweaks. Let's work on some of our errors and things that we did wrong and battle back. But they just lost in 5 games. I think that really changes the off-season mindset and the plans for the future. Who's coming back? What are we going to do? What direction are we going in net? There's so many questions that need to be answered here. And the biggest one for me is Ovechkin. I tweeted out after the game, I wonder if Ovechkin asked to be moved. And then someone replied and said, actually, Ovechkin's a UFA. And I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot about that. Ovechkin's a UFA. He gets to choose if he wants to go or doesn't want to sign. Or maybe the Capitals look at Ovechkin and think, okay, you were okay this year. You weren't typical Ovechkin. You're getting paid just over $9 million now, or you were. How much are you going to want? Are you going to want more than that? I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is, I ain't taking less than what I was making, so you better give me more. And I don't think Washington can afford that. And I don't... Let me reword that. I don't think Washington can afford that in a smart way for the future. They have to consider the value in Alexander Ovechkin for the next minimum 2 to 4 years if they sign him. I don't think they'd sign him until he was 40, because he's 35. So his next contract is a 35+ contract, if I'm not mistaken. I think it starts at 35, not 36. But so there's obviously a little. It's a different structure of contract versus under 35. Not that it really changes anything money-wise, but it's just I think we watched the last Alexander Ovechkin game as a Washington Capital. I truly do. I think Washington is smart enough to know that they can use that money more wisely elsewhere. And I think Ovechkin is just... he wants to move on. I think he wants to try to win somewhere else maybe. And Ovechkin has been very vocal about some of the teams that he likes, or at least arenas that he likes playing in. I can't see him going to a specific city that offers him a bunch of money. I think he's going to be too picky about that. Now, I'm a little bit worried because one of the teams that he said that he loves playing in is Montreal. He loves Montreal. As a Canadiens fan, and yes, I know I'm wearing this Boston Bruins jersey and hat. I will shower immediately after this video. I'm worried because Ovechkin coming to Montreal Canadiens means, I don't know about this. Montreal's going to have to make some decisions about salary elsewhere and able to afford Ovechkin, and I don't think Ovechkin is going to be worth what he wants in Montreal. I would love to see it just as emotionally, but logically, thinking about the future, I don't think so. So I don't think he's going back to the KHL. I can't see it because Ovechkin is 35 now. He knows that if he goes back to the KHL, he'll get some money, but he sure as heck won't get as much money as he saves with the NHL. And he knows that when he is done playing in the NHL, likely around 40-ish, because he's in incredible shape, he can go back to the KHL and be 41 or 42 or 44 and get money there and get good money there, even though he has he's 40, 44, he's old. He can still get money there. I don't think he leaves the NHL prior to 40 because I think he knows, and we all know, that he can still cash in the NHL, and he's going to take advantage of that. He's not going to waste these last 5 years of his 30s playing in the KHL, in my opinion. I believe he stays in the NHL. I believe he goes elsewhere. I just don't know where. He's not going to go to some place like Buffalo. No offense, Buffalo. I'm not trying to insult Buffalo, but Buffalo is not going to win a cup almost certainly in the next 5 years. Or that was rude. In the next 2 years. So I don't think he's going somewhere like Buffalo. Does he go to the Islanders for a reunion with Trotz? It's possible. But he just felt out of place this series. I think Boston did a really good job at really cracking down on some of the big superstars on the Capitals. They played the shutdown role a couple of times in certain specific situations very well. They were smart about faceoffs. They got really good offense from their top six, especially on the power play. Their power play has been very inconsistent this season, and Boston was one of the most hot. They were the hottest team, or one of the hottest teams coming into the playoffs, and I really wanted to see that continue. Really strong power play, and they did. So that was nice to see. So whoever plays Boston in the second round, they're going to have a challenge. They are definitely going to have a challenge. But Boston has to realize that was not a typical Washington team, because Kuznetsov was basically invisible. I think Boston needs to not get too excited about this big win. They need to focus on their game. They need to concentrate. I think this time off that they're going to face, that could be a bad thing or a good thing. Same with the Colorado series. That was a sweep. Okay, Colorado could have a long time off. Same with Boston now. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? It could be both. I think for Boston's sake, it's probably a good thing. But for Colorado's sake, I'm not sure. I think maybe that amount of time off might do them harm. Not that I think they're going to lose in the second round, but you know what I mean. So Boston needs to stay focused. I think they just get into some practice modes and they just go, they have some really good practices, work on some of their deficiencies, and go from there. But yeah, they're gonna have whoever Boston plays in the second round, they're gonna have a challenge, and that team is also gonna have a challenge because the Bruins are a pretty good team. So it was a fun series to watch. I'm upset that it only lasted 5 games, but it did, and let's move on. So thanks guys for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to see me recap the other series as they finish, please hit the subscribe button down below. Let me know what you think of this series. Were you shocked as me that this only went 5 games, or did you think it was going 7? Hope you guys are having a really good day, and I'll talk to you real soon. Adios.